This program is about leadership, social justice, and humanity, and everything that concerns us as human beings. People would rather not talk about them, yet they have views to be expressed, challenged, and discussed. Hello, the purpose of this program is to challenge, educate, create awareness, and provoke debates on leadership, religion, traditions, cultures, morality, and other social issues that contend to control the way we live, but yet no one wants to speak about them. Hello, welcome to X-Ray and Happy New Year. First, I thank all of you who have actually watched this program, commented on it, got in contact with me via email, Twitter, or social media. I'm most grateful to you. What you have done has shown me that there is interest for what I'm doing, and that we can actually move Nigeria and other countries, and especially Africa, forward, listening to this program, plugging into things that concern us. I would like to remind you as well that this program is about leadership. It's about politics, it's about morality, it's about religion, it's about all the things that affect us as human beings, especially social justice, things that we go through every day that no one talks about, but we must actually be able to talk about and make a difference. I'm inviting everybody on board. Business people are welcome to come on board as sponsors, or to be part of the program to discuss issues concerning their businesses and the impact of law and legislations on their businesses, their business practices. And religious people are also invited to come on board and tell us more about what they do, how they do it, and how that is helpful to the society, and how we can marry all of those together to achieve social justice, which is the mainstay of this program. I'm inviting business people as well to sponsor this program, advertise their projects, and then work with us so that we can continue to empower and create awareness in our world today. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. We'll be right back. Welcome to Xraywithjenny, the blog, and thanks for joining me. The mission is to tell our leaders and ourselves the naked truth, kill the culture of something for nothing, business as usual, and corruption, the bane of leadership in Africa. X-Ray aims to create a just, fair, and equal platform where everyone's voice counts. So if you hear or see it, let's X-ray together. I will ask questions and insist on answers. It's time to use our voices and votes to get what we need and deserve. Unless we do so, the majority will remain slaves to the greed of a minority, and Africa will forever remain third world. Let's do it together, people. Welcome back to X-Ray. Today I'm going to talk about corruption, and I've called it Corruption Part 2. As you would remember, the first episode of this show was about corruption in Nigeria, and obviously all over Africa and the world, because I have come to the conclusion that every human being may be corrupt, but some people are more corrupt than the others. But this program could not have come at any better time than now. The very topical issue, the famous Dasuki Gate. As you all know, Dasuki Gate is about the funding for the purchase of weapons for our soldiers, which then became diverted and ended up into people's pockets. Of course, we all know exactly what could have happened to that money, what the motive was. But to think that we were told that this money was being used to purchase arms, and we were assured that they were applied judiciously. And in addition to that, we were told at some point that Nigeria was unable to combat terrorism at the time, that these boys, Boko Haram, were slaughtering Nigerian soldiers, the Christians, Muslims, and everybody. And we were told that our major problem was lack of ability to purchase these weapons. Some had been ordered, but it would take about 5 years for them to arrive, and some countries refused to sell arms to us. And we bought into that. But then, to think that months down the line, we are hearing stories about who got a share of the money and who didn't get a share of the money and what for. To me, that was heartbreaking. I just could not understand how some of us could, in breach of trust, amass so much wealth and at the same time sit back and watch while ordinary people in Nigeria die. The beginning of Boko Haram in 2011 was something that shocked Nigeria and the world. And we had the pinnacle of it when they abducted schoolgirls in Nigeria. The world came to our rescue, people offered help, but we were still unable to arrest the situation. We had people from America, we had people from Israel, we had people from Britain offering to help, and some people came on ground. But what happened to that mission to assist us today remains a mystery, because we have not been told why they were not able to help us. There have been accusations of Obama and the rest of the people not selling weapons to Nigeria because some of our military people were compromised, and there was fear that we were not in control of the military and some of the weapons may end up in the hands of Boko Haram and then being used against the same people that's supposed to be used to protect. We bought into all of this, but the bottom line is that many Nigerians who should not have died have died. And up until today, we want to believe that it was purely through the efforts of Boko Haram on their own, but our government did not participate in any way by exposing us to danger. But to think about this Dasuki Gate thing, 11 billion going into the hands of ordinary people. We had 93 million or thereabout, which was confiscated in South Africa. And if it was only 93 million confiscated in Africa and just that amount used to purchase weapon, only God knows what 11 billion would have purchased for us. Only God knows how many lives would have been saved if we used that money to buy weapons and arm our boys. And what I also want to find out, we are now hearing about this, but is this Dasuki Gate the mother of all corruption in Nigeria? Or are we going to see more, because this is the tip of the iceberg? Because the money has been expended, people have been accused of getting money out of it, but was 11 billion the only money that was siphoned out and used for election in Nigeria? Because clearly, we know, people are now telling us, media houses have received money, they use the money to do publicity for political parties. Can any political party justify taking money belonging to Nigeria, which should have actually been used to save lives, to run for elections? If they could use that money to run for elections, what is the value of that service to the average Nigerian person? If we invested 11 billion for publicity in order to get votes, how much were we going to get in return? And what benefit was money in people's private pockets to Nigerians? How can anybody justify that level of abuse of trust and waste of public resources? And to tell me that in the face of all of these things, we had our military boys who were supposed to go and fight with very heavily equipped Boko Haram, a terrorist group with sophisticated weapons of the time that our military boys did not have. And some people were sitting down on money that we should have used to buy even more powerful weapons that would have helped to silence Boko Haram overnight. And people are able to sit and watch these soldiers suffer. Sometimes some of them, complained of not having food, adequate uniforms, and things like that. They were not being paid as well. and some people were sitting on this money. I mean, the classical thing, the one that affects me, the one that it makes it impossible for me to sleep sometimes, is the fact that these men and women who have been accused of taking benefit of our 11 billion, we are there when some of these young men, some of these fathers, some of these young sons of mothers like me, we are picked up and accused of mutiny for one reason or another. They were found guilty and they were supposed to be put to death for failing to do their job as military boys. Nigerians and fellow Africans, can anyone justify sending someone else's child into the field to fight deadly people like Boko Haram, empty-handed, and then sit back on the money they should have used to equip them and prepare them and make sure that they win that war, and then at the same time sit down to watch them go through all the process of being found guilty and being put in prison while waiting to be killed? If any of those children were killed, could anybody ever in his right mind with good conscience sit back in his house, spend that money, knowing that someone's child has been killed because he took the money that he should have used to buy a weapon to help him protect himself and protect us? Clearly, Nigerians may not be looking at this picture, at this whole event the way I'm saying it. The way I'm saying it is that these people totally endangered our lives, they endangered our economy, they endangered everything Nigeria. How could you, politicians, I'm asking you, how could you? And the beauty of this as well, the hypocrisy of it, is that when these people want to turn us against us because they're losing grip on power, they tell us that it's about our religion, it's about our tribes, it's about where we come from. But for Christ's sake, has any Nigerian taken notice of the fact that this money we are talking about, we are divided by people of every tribe and every religion? It is actually within the political class. So if it is about our tribe and religion, and which is one of the reasons why Boko Haram began to attack and kill Nigerians, why did that not extend to our money? So why is it that it's only when they want our votes that, it's about our religion and tribe, but when they want to share our money, we don't hear about the tribe? How can anybody from other parts of Nigeria or any part of Nigeria complain of marginalization when his own people also got part of that money? How can anybody from anywhere sit back and watch young people, our youth, they are out of job, they are on the streets? The only thing you can do for them, you politicians, is simply to use them as thugs to intimidate people into giving their votes to you. And where they fail to give their votes to you, to stop them from actually casting that vote for other people who are better qualified, who are better committed, who are better ready to serve Nigeria. And you tell me that there is mass unemployment, you can't pay 18,000 naira minimum wage, people will have to go with, for months without payment, without salary. For Christ's sake, how are you living with this? Where is your conscience? So you had that sort of money and you were minded to set these little boys against themselves, send them out on the street to go and die for you. Many of them have died. If you look at it, a fraction of the money you have taken would have actually created employment for them. A fraction of that money could have actually empowered their youth to set up businesses on their own. A fraction of that money could have actually saved lives, but you spent that money on yourself and you wanted to actually continue to spend that. So with Buhari fighting corruption, a lot of us are now complaining, why is he doing it? He's not sincere about it. His approach is not holistic. He's very selective. He's picking on some people. As I said in the first episode, there will never be a day when Nigeria will round up all the people involved in this corruption and then prosecute them to make everybody happy. The system will collapse, and that is not going to be possible. But I believe that this is a beginning. This is a very good start. It is now showing Nigerians what has been happening in our country, who has been taking money. Some people have blamed the past administration for this. But one thing I know is that corruption did not start yesterday. It did not start with the last administration. It started from the time Nigeria became a nation. And if that is the case, we need to now begin to look at the reasons why we are corrupt. Is it that we don't have, or that we have too much? Now, our oil money is finished. It's nearly finished. And we're talking about other means of survival in Nigeria. But to think that some people have the money belonging to Nigeria, which is enough to start us off, to start creating employment opportunities, going into agriculture, which is the next day of our economy, and they are not doing anything. And fellow Nigerians are suffering, but they're just simply sitting at home and waiting for Buhari to finish his corruption sweep, and they can go back to business as usual. It's quite unfortunate. And then I looked at the bail for Dasuki. This case has been going on. Dasuki and the rest of the men, they've been to court several times, and bail applications have been made and bond placed and all of that. But what really made me worry, or what really shocked me, was that in conversion, somebody converted the money, the bail bond, the surety for Dasuki, and it came to $1.2 million. And then I listened to one of his legal representatives say that they were working on it, and this money will become available soon. They are working on other things as well. And I thought to myself, who is actually going to be this surety? Is this EFCC, the government of Nigeria, which is actually leading this war against corruption? Are they going to also look at the source of that money? And if they look at the source of that money, and it happens to be part of our 11 billion, how are we going to address that? Will that be a legitimate bond for Dasuki to get bail? Will that start off another investigation and continue to keep him in prison? Is Dasuki really entitled to bail while this is going on? Is there no idea at all that letting him go may actually cause interference? Well, I'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue on this and talk more about the bail, to find out more about how we are going to proceed when we find out the source of this money for the bail. Thank you. Welcome to Xraywithjenny the blog, and thanks for joining me. The mission is to tell our leaders and ourselves the naked truth, kill the culture of something for nothing, business as usual, and corruption, the bane of leadership in Africa. X-Ray aims to create a just, fair, and equal platform where everyone's voice counts. So if you hear us say it, let's X-ray together. I will ask questions and insist on answers. It's time to use our voices and votes to get what we need and deserve. Unless we do so, the majority will remain slaves to the greed of a minority, and Africa will forever remain third world. Let's do it together, people. Welcome back to X-Ray. We're still talking about this Dasuki Gate, the humongous surety which the court has ordered him to pay in order to be free. And I'm asking the question, is actually Dasuki being free and being granted bail the most important thing at this moment? Is there no fear that, letting him go and the rest of the people may cause interference with potential witnesses who may be able to tell us more about what happened to our money? While you actually think of that, I also want to look at some of the things that they said they used our money for. They said that 4.6 billion was for spiritual services. Spiritual services. Is Nigeria haunted? And if it is haunted, by who? Are we looking for exorcism? And how did we determine the people who are in a position to exorcise Nigeria from this witch hunt? What are religious people doing in politics with government money? Somebody sent me something recently and I was laughing. He says that they say that money is the root of all evil. But then why do they ask for money in church? If it's actually the root of all evil and the church is the place you go to make sure that you ward off evil, why are they asking for it in church? And the same thing goes, we're talking about money that should have actually been used to buy arms and weapons for our soldiers, and then it was given to religious people. How can any of those religious people then stand in the pulpit and tell me that they are preaching God? And they knew that this money was meant for our soldiers so that lives will be saved and we will have stability again in Nigeria. But they spent that money. And I remember one of them who was talking about opening the gate of hell against people if they didn't vote for a certain candidate. Is this the sort of thing we paid for? To be threatened with our own money? And who is looking into this? How can we then say that as religious people that we are actually preaching religion and not doing business? We talk about it and I'm looking at this and saying to myself, can anyone justify this level of abuse of the trust of the people of Nigeria? Nigerians may be looking at the money on its own as money which had been spent by certain people. But what frightens the hell out of me is that we are not going further up to decide or to discover where this sort of behavior can lead us. And to tell you as well, another thing I find quite traumatic is the fact that we are still going on political grounds. I see people saying, oh, we are only talking about this Dasuki Gate because it's APC witch hunting. They want to talk about PDP. They are trying to expose PDP. The president himself benefited from this. And then some APC members are saying, oh, these people are horrible. But one thing we are forgetting is that majority of the people in APC today, we are former members of the PDP. So it's a vicious circle. So are we in a situation where we are recycling these people to continue doing what they were doing? Are we looking at what they have done to be able to say to ourselves, these people are not the right people to lead this nation? How do we get the right people to lead? Has it got anything to do, the fact that, they were former members of the PDP or they are now APC, does it for any reason vitiate the fact that what they have done is criminal? You do not, in breach of trust, abuse your position, take money belonging to your country and expect to be respected for it. And then to think as well that majority of the people who are trying to defend these people are the same Nigerians who are suffering. You then begin to wonder where the nationalism in this may be and what the motive about leadership in Nigeria is. Is it a question of me complaining because I am not in there and benefiting from it? Is it a question of me supporting someone in order to get there, take money belonging to the nation, come back and empower us, in my own village while the majority of Nigerians are suffering? Someone once said to me that what I don't understand is that a lot of times if you're elected into a political office and you go there, you come back with nothing. You haven't built big homes in your town, you haven't bought cars, you're not running around with all sorts of things, taking chieftaincy title, then you're actually considered a fool because you have achieved it. Will be if all of us will begin to appreciate that what we've been told about Dasuki Gate is one of the most vile things that can ever happen to any nation in any democracy. Money that belongs to the whole of us have been spent by a few people, and some of us are still finding reasons to defend them until we then begin to see that there is no room for defense of such behavior and those people. Then clearly we may be stagnating our growth economically, politically, and otherwise. So there is need now, and in order to bring this to an end, what I'm trying to say to people is Dasuki Gate has been a big eye-opener. It has shown us what has been going on in our country, and we now have to work together to make sure that whoever has not been found should be found, that whoever has our money in their pocket should return it. We should go after everybody. And the question of this government being serious about corruption, that is a matter that concerns Nigerians as well. I will urge this administration, especially PMB, who we really and deeply trust to be the game changer, to make sure that this fight is holistic. There is no sacred cow. Anybody who is involved in this must be brought to book and they must be made to account. There is also fear that this is just a razzmatazz, so that, you know, other leaders, other presidents and government have done this in the past, and they will just talk about it and then it will be the end of it. There will be nothing happening. Nobody is going to prison. Please, we want people to go to prison. Please, we want people to go to prison, not just for 10 years, for life. And we want anybody who is involved in this, to be banned from, you know, politics for life. People like this should not be in public office. And that may actually be the beginning point, because if you do this and then you let them come back in the next 4 years, they are running for political office again and nobody is asking questions, then we would have actually lost the fight we started very well. Thank you very much. See you next time. Please, if you have any contributions or any questions and you want to, please feel free to contact us. Look on the screen. You have all the details: Facebook, social media, email, however you want to reach us. Please do tell us. Give us your opinion. If there's any program or subject you want to discuss, let us know. We will try and discuss this together. And someday we might actually have a bigger room, a bigger opportunity when everybody will be involved. You can ask these leaders questions and they will answer your questions. Thank you very much and see you next time. This program is about leadership, social justice, and humanity, and everything that concerns us as human beings. People would rather not talk about them, yet they have views to be expressed, challenged, and discussed.